Greetings, or what is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now with Game 2 of this finals best of 5 series between AGameAnx and Bozocow. Looks like AGameAnx going to be playing as random, Bozocow going to be playing as Knef in this desert showdown here on Kalash Teeth, one of the most classic maps in the game that has been in since release, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Probably one of the smallest maps in the pool, of course. Looks like A-Game has gone ahead and spawned as these are the Soban pieces, I believe. So is this the Soban carrier? Yeah. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've like properly immersed myself in Deserts of Correct. So let's there we go. So now I've got the two carriers ready to be hotkeyed. Yeah, okay, that is a Soban carrier. Sweet, okay. So yeah, this is a hyper brutal map. We're going to look forward to see what kind of bloodshed was unleashed. Of course, the series score right now 1-0 in favor of A-Game after quite a close and very interesting first game. So we've got the production carrier here for Bozo moving out onto the map. And he's going for refinery mode, so this is a pretty quick macro opening. I'm guessing that he's just sending out this production carrier as a bluff because it makes it look like you're going to put on some pressure, but that is actually probably not what he's going to be doing. AAV fabrication going to be the tech of choice here after the LAV production. So pretty standard stuff. Looks like A-Game wanting to move into a macro game, as is his wont. I mean, you know, like all the good players of RTS, he does throw in the odd sort of cheese/heavy aggro build in the early game. You've got to do it from time to time, or else you become very predictable and complacent. But this is going to be a macro opening, and that is his sort of trademark style. Got the sand skimmers here. Actually, they do find an LAV, get some damage on that LAV, but they're going to have to scurry away. So, one thing that I wasn't aware of, and I'll just take a minute whilst there's like less chaos occurring right now to talk about, is this is actually being played on the balance patch version of the game. So there has been a community balance patch, many changes therein, which is awesome because it takes the strain off of Blackbird for doing the balance patches and enables the community, who are arguably the most in touch with the sort of texture of the game, to make the changes that they see fit. And the reception to this balance patch, which is optional of course, has been mixed, but is generally positive. I think most people really enjoy this patch, and it definitely spices things up. It's a nice thing to see. So yeah, we're playing this on the balance patch. There you go. As for the actual patch notes, I've skimmed over them, but they're very long. There's a lot of changes. Suffice to say that the objective of the balance patch was just to make all of the units and the factions play more like they should. And I would say that that goal has been achieved. So anyway, railgun fabrication going to be coming up here for our Knefi player, Bozocow, looking to find an answer for these AAVs, and that does make sense. The AAVs are going to be flailing across the map. That's the sound of a cruise missile. The Knef carrier, ever the deadly unit in combat, gets a nice hit even on that armored assault. Perhaps A-Game could shift-click a few zigzags into his moves, and that would behoove him well. Ooh, squadron of LAVs also harrying on the left flank here, but they do get scouted, so you know what, I still wouldn't hate coming in with those. A-Game could have pushed in a little bit further just to see if there was anything ready, because with 5 LAVs, remember the Knef carrier only has 1 chip of power right now, and that's mostly going to be used for the cruise missiles, so he could have come in here and probably got a salvager, or maybe even 2, but then again, perhaps the carrier point defense weapons have been buffed, and I would trust A-Game's judgment over my own most of the time. So there comes another cruise missile. Kind of a near miss there. Mining operations are being delayed by these AAVs. I imagine we'll see railguns coming out here momentarily. Yeah, the railguns... Oh, it's assault railguns. They're going to be on the production queue right now for Bozo. So he just has to kind of deal with this really annoying push here. He's actually hemorrhaging sand skimmers too, which is like really unfortunate. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, looks like A-Game's macro operations are progressing. Support crews are going to come out. I imagine we'll see the support crews garrison the rearmost position here. And whilst the carrier crawls forward, A-Game, ever the fan of weaponizing his carrier. In fact, we can check right now. Okay, he's upgrading carrier production. He hasn't gone for any power reserves just yet. Man, this is just a lot of value being gleaned by all of these units that A-Game's built in the early game. Keeping the action firmly on his opponent's doorstep, almost always a really good thing. Missile going to slam home for a little bit of damage. Secondary production cruiser coming out just now for for Bozocow. Pardon me. And this is a really unfortunate start. What did we just see hemorrhage? Was that a salvager that went down? Oh dearie me. Yeah, this is looking really rough. He's even losing his assault railguns. Oh no, Bozo. This is starting to snowball a bit. Lucky for Bozo, this is like a discrete packet of assault units that A-Game has sent in. If there was a constant reinforcing flow of units coming across the map, I reckon this one could have been over. Oh, goodness me. Jesus. This is going so terribly for Bozocow. He is losing a lot of units. The assault railguns are kind of being picked off as they come out, which is not enabling them to snowball to the critical mass of numbers he needs to deal with this. And that's so rough. He's also lost like 4 salvagers, so definitely going to be playing from the underdog position in this game. This is a really terrible start, but he does fend off A-Game's aggression. A-Game now firmly set up and mining off of 2 locations, has the second support cruiser coming out, so he can go up to 3 locations. I imagine we'll see the carrier lumber forward to this location here, and A-Game in a fantastic position. Now, Bozo has held off this assault. He has 2 production cruisers. Refinery mode was finished a long time ago, so if he can just build some salvagers and disperse himself across these 3 locations, he will be kind of okay, and the assault railguns sort of hold off everything that A-Game is thinking about right now. Let's just have a check here. No fighter and gunship fabrication. That is lucky for Bozo, because that would really wreck his shizzle right now. But it looks like A-Game going to be going for railgun fab, looking for an answer to these assault railguns, and also just, I mean, railguns are just great in Deserts of Karak generally, so totally makes sense. The assault railguns are going to fan out on the map, get some much needed map vision for Bozo. He's going to find himself an AAV here, which is nice. Just going to harry some units around the map. There's not many sand skimmers here. Let's just check the resource float. How do I check? Does it change the... it doesn't appear to... So when I change, like, which carrier I have selected, it doesn't appear to change whose resources in this tab that I have selected. So let's just quickly check the resources tab. Here we go. Okay, so both players being relatively efficient with their spending. Actually, A-Game stacking a lot of RUs, but you can't always spend these things in the manner in which you want to. Okay, so missile ship fabrication, the choice for Bozo. So it looks like he was very scared of the fighter and gunship fabbed tech switch from A-Game, and he's going to prophylactically get some anti-air here. Of course, he doesn't know that it was actually railguns that were chosen for A-Game, but still, the missile ship is going to be a nice unit to have. If he goes ahead and builds some, which he is, and I like this, because the missile ships have the cluster barrage ability, which is actually quite good at dealing with LAV swarms like this. But speaking of LAV swarms, that's a lot of LAVs. That's like, ooh, that's a good... what is that? 4, 8, 12. That's like 14 LAVs, and there's just not enough assault railgun here to deal with that. This could be pretty scary. Well, here we go. Round 2. A-Game going to drive his units through the middle here. The Kenneth carrier doesn't really have the power reserves to deal with this. Neither player are actually seemingly interested in getting a base runner and doing some resources, doing some objectives. Oh no, the assault railguns. Okay, the missile ship has to use its barrage. Use the barrage! Oh no, he's not using the barrage. Oh, did he already use it? I think he already used it. Yeah, there's some craters here. I think he already used it whilst I was looking elsewhere. Oh god, this looks so messy. Uh-oh. This seems kinda horrendous. Oh no, he's hemorrhaging even more salvages and things, so... I mean, I don't want to call this one too early, but this is looking super over. I mean, A-Game is just healthily mining off of a load of locations. He has the ability to tech into and produce whatever he likes. He's actually going to pull back here. Oh man, he could have hit home for so much more damage. My only criticism of A-Game, I reckon, having watched him in a number of games, is that occasionally he does seem a little overcautious. And that's kind of probably fine. If you're usually the better player in a game, like, a degree of caution is totally acceptable. I mean, why risk things? But, I mean, you can definitely just look and see if your opponent can defend, like, this wave of LAVs. You know what I mean? You can just push in and say, like, are you dead? And then if your opponent actually has the things you're afraid of, I mean, the LAVs are fast enough, you can pull back. It's okay to take some damage on those LAVs. It's okay probably to lose, like, 1 or even 2 of them, just to check and just say, like, to your opponent, are you dead? And, like, you know, because if the answer is yes, then I would say it's less risky than letting the game go on further. Just an observation, and of course it's easy for me to make these calls. I have, like, omnipresent observer vision. But anyway, A-Game here is just going to keep sharking around with his units, looking for opportunities. Let's quickly check the tech here. So Bozo has... he's gone for... he's got his air tech online as well, actually, so that's pretty cool. He's even building a base runner, and he's coming out over here to the right. This is so risky. He has nothing defending on the left whatsoever, so this is kind of a bit of a all-in... I'm not going to say desperate, but it's pretty scary move here for Bozo to be making. A lot of railguns here, locking down this open area. for A-Game, and as he rounds the edge of this sand dune here, the railguns line of sight is going to start coming around like this and threatening the homeland of the Knef forces on this map. That is just so many LAVs. How many resources are these players stacking right now? So Bozo could actually flood out like a few sand skimmers, and this was an observation we actually found from last game. I didn't check because I forgot how to use the resource stacking tab, the resource checking tab. But Bozo was stacking a lot of CUs in the last game, and it would have behooved him to just spam out a load of sand skimmers. Sand skimmers are great units. They help against pretty much any enemy unit. So anyway, this is nasty pinster. A couple of armored assaults going to come in here, and that's going to be enough to displace the westernmost resourcing operation for Bozocow. Meanwhile, the fast LAVs are going to shark on in here on the right, sensing blood in the water, and they're going to pick up some units. Oh, they're just okay. They're actually not going to. Again, A-Game could pursue those a lot harder. This is like you can totally kill this stuff. Anyway, some sand skimmers going to get on top of some railguns here. We'll have to see how good the focus fire is here from Bozocow. And oh no, he's not going to get anything. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Bozo just off to a really grim start here, and that's transitioned into a very wonky mid-game. So he does, all of his assault railguns are down here to deal with 2 AAVs, which is fine, they will win that fight, but that's not what they needed. Imagine if they were over here following the sand skimmers across the open. He probably could have gotten all these railguns. I mean, it's, again, easy for me to say. So he does have a missile ship here, and the cool thing about missile ships is you can fire the barrages over these line of sight blockers. You can just like flail the missile barrages over. So like this is a really good position for your missile ship. I always keep my missile ships like guarding these chokes, like in these 3 positions here, and like even here, because that way when your opponent comes through, you just spray the missiles down into those locations and score some heavy damage. So let's keep checking. Sand skimmer damage coming up for Bozocow. Meanwhile, LAV damage coming up for A-Game. No objectives scored for either player. I imagine we're going to see a base runner with objectives somewhere. Actually, that's just not happening. And actually, by displacing those AAVs over here, Bozo actually has half a chance of mounting a defense over here. He's still vastly outnumbered. Is he really going to try for this? Oh no, I just think you lose all of your assault railguns if you do this. Ah no, get out of there. That's just, you're never going to win that fight. Oh no, now the LAVs come in, and this is, oh no, he's not moving, he stopped moving! Okay, so assault railguns will be LAVs, but only if they can keep the LAVs in one direction. As soon as the LAVs get on top of the assault railguns, then the assault railguns have their slower turn speed exploited, and there's no turret on these units. They have to directly face what they want to hit. So LAVs kind of can beat assault railguns if they're on top of them, but if the assault railguns can stay coordinated and keep kiting, then they will beat the LAVs. And that looked like a nasty situation. Anytime you're fighting LAVs in up and downy sand dunes with line of sight blocking, and they get on top of you, that's usually really bad. But okay, he's going to use this line of sight blocker to come on round here for a little sledgehammer attack here as Bozocow. So it pretty much all comes down to this. There's a lot of eggs in this basket for both players. 2 support cruisers just repairing the shit out of everything here, and the assault railguns, sorry, the railguns are being focused down, but like all of the Knefi units are just dying. This is just way too much Soban on the dance floor, and that is pretty much game. Represents like pretty much all of the things that Bozocow has been producing and saving up this game being taken out. So yeah, this one's over, I think. So I just have a little sip on my tea there. Yeah, I don't really know what can be done about this, to be honest. Okay. Okay, again, A-Game could totally just punish a bit harder here, but he isn't. What power level? Okay, still no power level for the Knef carrier. So just 1 missile at a time here. Okay, I like this. In fact, you know what? This is something Bozo could have done a bit earlier. It's just like task a few sand skimmers. Like, this map is so good for flanking. You can take them around this route and hit your opponent's soft targets a little bit. So, okay, he gets an overrun here. Actually, this is kind of nice. He scouts his opponent's tech and he calls back so many resources worth of Saban units. Okay, he gets snared up on these logistics modules quite horribly. The ALMs, of course, pretty good at dealing with sand skimmers. Wow, since the patch, they seem even better, to be honest, since this balance patch. And I don't know. He's got some power now on his carrier. Actually, I think Bozo has 1 artifact, so that's something going in his favour. He has managed to recover 1 artifact. That's an assault cruiser. Oh man, this is what we like to call in wargaming circles a distraction carnifex. It's a unit that's just powerful enough to be very scary by itself and demand quite a heavy response, whilst also being cheap enough to be completely disposable. So kind of a distraction carnifex assault cruiser coming through here. Gonna eat a missile barrage and some railgun slugs for its trouble, but gets the barrage down. And that's game! Alright, so A-game, still an absolutely vicious monster. So what we're going to try and do right now is there a way that I can... okay, can I just like... Okay, alright, this is super unprofessional, but what I'm going to do is just load up the next replay, because that was quite a short game. So we're going to just load up the next game here. Bear with me 2 seconds. I know you're just staring at a black screen. Actually, we can do something about that. Check this out. Woohoo! Tech! There we go. Now you know what channel you're watching. Just bear with me. I've got to just manually grab the replays out of the replay pack and throw them into where they're needed, and then we can just jump in and cast the next game. So we're up to game 3. So a 2-0 lead for A-game. Game 1 a lot closer than game 2. Just the opening there for A-game was super nice. I really liked it. I think if you're going to go for like that kind of production cruiser refinery mode first opening as Bozo there, it's like to a certain extent in RTS games you've always got to play to the map, and I feel like that was probably one of the worst maps for doing it because it's so tiny, it's so brutal. Everyone has their aggression the most mapped out on that particular map. So yeah, I that's a tough one. I don't think I like doing that opening on that map. So anyway, game 3, going to be on Taidan Passage here. And it looks like AGameAnx has rolled the Galzian forces on this one. So I imagine he's still playing as random. But anyway, let's go ahead and throw ourselves into this one. Oh, hang on, wait 1 second. We're just going to get rid of that. There we go. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so he is playing as random, but he's going to roll the Galzian forces on this map. And whilst A-game is incredibly proficient with every faction in this game, I think he's probably the best with the Galzian. Like, it always feels to me like his home faction, his native team. So, okay, here we go. Taidan Passage, of course, a much bigger map. So, a completely different, we're going to have to see completely different skills, builds, and repertoires of tool sets utilized by these two players here. Let me just hotkey these two carriers so that we can check the tech of these two players. You know what, I haven't done my customary spawning in the south, playing as the Knafi pieces, Bozocow. And spawning in the north, playing as the Galzian forces. It is gonna be AGameAnx. So let me see, we've got super macro openings out of both players. Bozocow's going production cruiser first. So is AGameAnx. Okay, you know what? I'm just a little bit out of touch with the meta. This is just probably a thing you do on bigger maps. It's not to say that it's necessarily an economical opening, because production cruisers are also the root of all aggro for these factions. So we're going to have to see. Just switching between the tech for these two factions. Looks like Bozo going to blink first and go for Sandskimmer Fab, well ahead of A-game. So he's going to have the edge on that, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. Both players positioning their production cruisers for a more macro game, neither of them ranging them out across the map just now. We'll have to see what the choices will be once the second production cruisers come out. Players now beginning to open up their resource points. And we've got a base run. How's this scanner here? Oh. Did we have a base runner that was then retired? Do these players still start with base runners? I thought since in the community balance patch you do not start with a base runner, but this scanner makes me think otherwise. I wasn't quick enough to spot. Perhaps you do still start with base runners and both players have retired them. For those of you who are new to Deserts of Karak, of course, Deserts of Karak is fairly unique among RTSs in that in Deserts of Karak you can retire any of your units pretty much at any time, which will route them back to a carrier. They will reboard the carrier and be stripped down for units. You don't get 100% of your value back. I think you get I think 2/3, or is it 75%? But you get some of the value back. So because the game tends to start you off with a base runner, and because a lot of players are quite clever, they figured out that actually, you know what? Because you're not going to make super efficient use of that base runner in the first like 2 minutes of the game, you can retire that unit and go for a much more economical opening, and that's what we're seeing here out of these two players. So Second production cruiser out here for both players. A-Game going to be keeping his slightly closer to home here. Bozocow with some more interest in ranging out and taking mid-map control. Actually, what is this production cruiser on doing over here? Okay, we've got something sneaky going on. This production cruiser is being tasked, is going right out into the corner of the map. He is going for some sort of cunning backstab with this one for sure. Let's check the tech. He's going for railgun fab, so Bozo finishes up railgun fab. He doesn't have refinery mode. It's A-Game who's deep into refinery mode tech, so we've got a clear attacker and defender dynamic in this game. The Kanefi forces here of Bozocow are going to be on the offense. It's on him to get some damage done. He's invested in more offensive tech and he's positioned himself more aggressively, whereas A-Game has put his money into economical advantages and needs to hold these next couple of minutes for those economical advantages to start paying off, and that should slingshot him into a much better late game. So okay, heavy railguns. It's a heavy railgun push here from Bozocow, and I kind of like this. So he's stacking these heavy railguns totally out of center coverage of his opponent, and he's going to stack up like maybe 3 of them and then come in. With the sand skimmers on defense, this could be super nasty. One sand skimmer for A-Game, going to just push out and get some information, and when he sees that there's no production cruiser back here, that's when the alarm bells will seriously start ringing. But that's not for like another minute, and these railguns are actually going to hit home before that. So here come the sand skimmers. They want to grab the scanner, and they're going to be able to do that, which is kind of crucial because that's going to stop these units from being scouted. So Bozo cloaking the advance of his units. I like this. This is well executed so far, but A-Game takes the high ground. You can't take this fight. You can't take this fight, Bozo. If you lose the sand skimmers, this doesn't work. What are you doing? What is he doing? Don't you just lose now? So the way this attack works is you increment value out of the heavy railguns while screening them from enemy attacks using your own sand skimmers. But if you don't have that sand skimmer screen, then you just lose the heavy railguns because there's nothing there to defend them. Heavy railguns, of course, very, very sort of bad at defending themselves at point range. So that's only 6 sand skimmers to A-Game's, what, 6, 9, 12, 15 at the moment. I think A-Game could just come in and crush this. Okay, so some assault railguns are coming out now, so maybe he can't. And now the heavy railguns are not taking shots. That's a little bit awkward. Why are they not taking shots? Okay, now they're taking shots. He needs to like shift them up over here. Like this position here is going to be much better for Bozocow, because then he has line of sight to all of the things he wants to be hitting. So let's just quickly check and see what else is going on around the map. Not a lot. It is railgun tech is out now for A-Game, which gives him a pretty good answer. This is looking pretty held to me. Some damage starts coming down on the carrier, but it ain't enough. Yeah, he needs to just, why don't you transition these units over here? This is where they want to be. And you need to build a lot more sand skimmers as well, Bozo. Uh-oh. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's just not really executing this bit correctly. So I really liked the setup for this attack, but losing most of his, or a big portion of his sand skimmers on this dune here was really bad. You can't afford, every single sand skimmer you lose there is really bad. But okay, how many assault railguns are we up to now? 4. Okay. Alright. He gets himself a salvager, and he is pushing his opponent away, but there's a lot of heavy railguns here, so he's got to be careful now. I don't think you can just focus A-Game's carrier here. You do have to try and fight this. Okay, so the production cruisers are going to start taking some aggro here, but it's not going to be enough. Okay, now you need to take this position. This is the high ground that's relevant now, because from here you just dominate this entire area. So let's see if Bozo's positioning sensors are going to be on point here. I would still love him to get a few more sand skimmers. Oh no. I don't know, A-Game's just eking out a little bit too much value in these fights, I think. Okay, he starts hemorrhaging railguns. Okay, he starts hemorrhaging railguns. Okay, he starts hemorrhaging railguns. Now the sand skimmers come in and he kites back very nicely, getting some value here. And he has just enough sand skimmers to screen his own forces while his heavy railguns are pounding home. Good veterancy on these railguns. So in the last 30 seconds, I would say Bozo's starting to get some damage done. He needs to take this goddamn sand dune line, though. Bozo, you're an amazing player, but just your positional awareness on these last couple of engagements. If you were here, this is basically over. This is game from here. Why take this? Put your assault railguns here. Okay, maybe there's something I'm not seeing. I just really want to see Bozo take a game against A-Game. It'll make me so happy. So that's why I'm getting excited. This is the closest we've seen him come. A-Game's carrier damaged. Why does he not take the high ground? You could just kill him from here. This is so risky. Oh my god, please take the high ground. Oh no, because now these railguns are starting to chip in for like mad value. What are you doing? Why are you taking this hard point rather than just killing him from the high ground? I don't get it. I must be missing something. I must be missing something. Okay, anyway, well, he's going to feed in his sand skimmers to get the heavy railguns. And get them? He will? He's going to get like, at least 2 of them. Come on, you got to focus this heavy railgun, and he does. Okay. Your heavy railgun positioning is so slack. Again, if they were here, this would almost be game because he would just kill the crew, kill the carrier. Maybe he just doesn't want to rush it, but you are doing literally a rush. Like, you need to end the game. Okay, so he's getting some good hits here. If he gets his opponent's production cruiser, that is almost game. And he's building sand skimmers, which I like. And he kept both of his production cruisers alive, so this is looking okay right now for Bozo. Just, dude, take this high ground. It's still worth it. Uh-oh, this is enough sand skimmers now. Oh no, I think Bozo might lose here. The sand skimmers are coming in, the screening units are getting taken out, and there's no assault railguns this time. Oh no, A-Game's done it. These railguns need to be skedaddling a lot faster than they are. Go. So I think A-Game breaks this. Because there's just not enough stuff here to hold off these sand skimmers. I mean, A-Game's not particularly mining though, is he? Ah, he is it. So, oh man. Bozo definitely could have won this one. He will probably be feeling a little bit bad about this. And that's fair. A-Game with a great defense did what needed to be done, but there were definitely like 2 or 3 discrete things here which Bozo could have done better, which would have just made this attack so good. It's amazing that he's gotten this much done with, like, I would say like a 5.5 out of 10 for execution here. I mean, unless I'm misreading this massively, because we have to remember these 2 players are way better at the game than I am. Has A-Game managed to harass? Haha, he sent 1 assault railgun in over here. I like that. I like that. So, just nicely played here. Nicely played here by A-Game. He's going to take this game very handily. Amazing stuff. And as we watch these last moments play out here, as Bozocow's rush gets run down, I'm just thinking about how this game could have been different. And A-Game, you give him a split second, and he will just make the right decisions and get out from whatever hard place you have him in. You know, he's just a very consistently good decision maker, and that is what makes for a good RTS player. So that'll be it. So I'm going to view the map. Okay, right, here's what happened. Okay, so Bozocow's assault, right? So he built up all of the heavy railguns way out here, which I really like. He brought them in undetected. He took out his opponent's scanner. Everything up until then, 10 out of 10. Smart decision making, well executed from Bozo. And then he comes in here. So this is A-Game's home location where his carrier is. And I can't remember exactly how it went down. Oh yeah, here. So some sand skimmers were lost on this dune rise here, which, like, if you don't lose those initial few sand skimmers as Bozocow, your assault is like untouchable, because A-Game just never even has the amount of sand skimmers needed to possibly come in and clear it. So you are basically invulnerable if you don't make this trade here. Like, you just keep your sand skimmers with your heavy railguns and leverage them for value, because your entire attack as Bozocow is all about just the advantage that those heavy railguns are providing in the early game, because your opponent doesn't have them. I mean, that's what this entire attack is about, right? It's about secretly coming in with heavy railguns. If you're not leveraging those heavy railguns for value, like, then it's not good, is it? So yeah, trading out the sand skimmers here, it looks small, but it has a massive effect, because it actually it gave A-Game a chance in this game. It gave him something to play for. It gave him a way out. So if we don't lose these, if we don't make this trade here, because A-Game had the high ground and he had numbers, and somehow Bozocow still wanted to come into that, which I just no, stay away. You can just come around here, take your time, come around here, and then threaten this position. So if we look at how these sand dunes are laid out, it's all about line of sight when it comes to heavy railguns. You can threaten the carrier from up here. You don't need to try and take on the sand skimmers. You can threaten it from up here, and then A-Game's carrier retreats in this direction. Look at this cool debris. How cool is this game? Look at all this craterscape of units here. So then, yeah, A-Game's carrier came down here, and Bozocow, like, so the seat of A-Game's power, like, most of his units were here whilst he frantically tried to put together a defense. If you, as Bozocow, take this high ground, then you just can nail all of that, and it forces A-Game to assault you on the high ground. Instead, Bozocow elected to assault A-Game on like this on the low ground, which is like, again, you have these railguns. Their main advantage is hitting power and range, and you always exploit that by taking the dune lines and taking the high grounds. And on this map, like, this dune line naturally has the high ground right here, which oversees this entire location. A-Game's carrier took like maybe 25% or 30% of damage when it was exposed for like less than 10 seconds. If you take this high ground, I think you probably just kill his carrier. He can try and assault your position. You just focus down the carrier, screen with the assault railguns and the sand skimmers, and like, I just don't see a way out. Like, I think A-Game just dies there. So just an amazing build, really, and it was really well executed for the initial stages. But I feel sure that all of the ingredients were there for Bozocow to have taken this one, but he just didn't quite execute correctly. Sorry if I'm sounding incredibly critical of Bozocow. I don't mean to. He's an incredibly good player, way better than I, and he he came very close to taking a game off of A-Game here, which is just like, I could never be too harsh about anyone who does that. So. And on top of that, you know, like, Bozo's skills have improved so much since I was casting a long time ago, and it is really nice to see. So anyway, that's going to be the 3-0 for AGameAnx. Congratulations to him taking down the finals of yet another Homeworld Deserts of Karak tournament. Well done to you, good sir. Now, my understanding is that these two players did go ahead and play out all 5 games of this best of 5. I'm going to have to go and check. But that being the case, I'm going to probably cast the other 2 when I get a chance later on this week, just because it's really cool being able to cast high-level Deserts of Karak, and those are the replays that I happen to have on hand. I'll probably be checking into the Discord, because there's a sweet little subgroup there where you can just grab tournament replays, so I'll probably be checking in there and see if there's some other games as well. But yeah, that concludes this video. Thank you very much for watching, and this for now is Magpie842 signing out.